UPR, UPR. Response Rangers are on the up and up. UPR, UPR. Now we're heading for European Cup.
Hello and welcome to Open All Ours. I'm Chris Charles and I'm joined by three fellow QPR fans tonight. We have QPR season ticket holder Johnny Mack making his hat-trick appearance, is it?
Hello, yeah.
How are you doing? You okay?
I'm very well, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm afraid we haven't got a ball or anything for you.
That's a shame.
But we'll try and organise something for next time. We've also got Loft for Word Supremo Clive Whittingham, whose football match I believe has been called off tonight, so he's had to settle for second best.
Exactly, this is why you don't see me anymore on Football Mondays.
I believe the landlord of the Crown saw you quite a bit on Saturday, though.
I can't confirm or deny any reports.
Last seen heading to Bahamas on a yacht on the back of that. And last but by no means least, Paul Finney.
You all right?
Yes, very well. I saw we signed a player called Finney the other day.
We did, yeah, and it's great because I'd love to get one of his shirts if he's got the back of it, because it's been a dream of mine to play for the Rangers.
Yeah.
But I promise not to let anyone down and always give 100%.
No relation.
It's quite weird, though, isn't it? I mean, it's such an unusual name. It's such a stupid name. But anyway, welcome to QPR, Mr. Finney.
Are you going to thank him for everything he's going to do for the club?
It would be awkward, though. I mean, can you imagine if everyone starts singing Finney's a wanker? What do you know? Which
Don't
one?
they sing that anyway?
Which,
Maybe that's just where I sit.
Can they be, you know...
I thought you weren't going to swear tonight.
Oh, yeah, did you?
48 seconds.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's trying to compete with the sending off. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, get these bits out of the way first. You can follow us on Twitter at QPR Pod, search for QPR Podcast on Facebook, and listen to old episodes on qpr.co.uk. Tonight's beers were paid for by Daniel Walters, who went onto our website and clicked the magic button, apparently.
Thank you, big man.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, Paul, we'll start with you. There's lots of times I've walked into the ground this season and knew we were beaten before we were started, but Saturday seemed to be sort of the opposite, really. Do you think we've got our Rangers back?
We've certainly got our mojo back in a lot of ways. We've got Rangers, I'm not getting carried away, but I'm booking tickets for the European Cup final in a few years. If any of you guys want to join me. But listen, I think it had to happen. I think the board were right to act when they acted. How long this will last, who knows? But let's freaking enjoy it. It's so nice to see smiles on faces, everyone enjoying themselves. The mascots looked happy, everyone looked happy. There was a buzz back at the place, and we got a penalty within how many seconds? I mean, we used to be, and not being funny, I used to time our shots by when I'd come back from the bar at half time. So you think first shot, go to the, and I think it wasn't the most basic fundamental thing in football is to play people in the right positions. It may help. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. And I think, and I'd said on Twitter that we'll see a different Washington than we did, but Polter's goal was I the only person who thought that was like Gary Bannister in his prime, the way he stuck that away. Absolutely superb.
Yeah, and all of that, but the atmosphere, I mean, I was sort of near where they normally sing anyway, but it felt like the whole ground, or three sides of the ground, were bouncing at one stage. Did you?
Seriously, he got up, he was giving it properly large, I tell you.
Well, Bertram was joining in by the dugout, wasn't he? Did you see that?
Well, I can't see a dugout from mine.
No, I mean, I saw it on the TV later on. Sky went to Loftus Road, and there he was on the dugout joining in with the finest.
But you would, if you're a Rangers fan and you're on the bench, you would join in, especially Captain Jack.
But can you think of any other manager who's joined in the singing of songs while the match is going on? I think that's...
Well, apparently when Steve Gallen and Mark were at the club at West Brom, they both joined in there as well. So
yeah. It must have been a real buzz for Bertram to have his name being sung around the ground again.
Sad point is he's come off Twitter.
Has he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been on there a little bit today.
He said the other day we tweeted as much, which is sad because it'd be great to have an assistant manager who tweets, sings, and picks a team.
Yeah. Well, he's supposed to be back on here in December to finish his stories, but I doubt that's.
We better hold him to that.
Yeah.
We better hold him. But you know what was really good about Saturday was unity. It seemed that everyone was back as one. The Brentford game was a disgrace. Rangers fans should never fight each other. That's a disgrace. But it was proper unity,
We've just got to hope that it lasts, hasn't it? Because I'd take all that as read that it was going to be like that on Saturday. Let's see, if results go awry and whatever sort of later on. Let's see how it is, because a big part of Holloway's success here last time is that he pulled the whole club back together, the whole support base. That was a massive part of it last time. So we've all got a part to play in this being a success again. Saturday, I thought it was amazing that in 1 week he'd recognised a formation, a system that gets everybody in their correct positions and keeps Cherry at 10. Because the problem that Hasselbank seemed to have was that he thought that Cherry had to play at 10. You know, he's our best player and that's his best position. And that subsequently meant that about 6 other people had to be played out of position. And Holloway turned up, trained them for a week and was like, no, play like this. You know, that's Lynch's best position and he's been playing at left back. That's Anua's best position and he's been playing at right back. It's Perch's best position at wing back and he's been unhappy at right back. Cousins has been right wing and right back. He was back in his best position. Luongo's been too far back or too far forward. He's in his best position. And we had 2 up front, which is Washington's best position. And Cherry was still at 10. So, you know, it's like, why didn't we think of this before? What is this sorcery?
But when you saw the team sheet, when you're in the pub, presumably when I know the ritual, when the team news gets read out.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it, but I was scratching my head trying to work out exactly where everyone was going to play.
No, I don't go. Well, only because I'd been told slightly ahead of time that that's what that's how they were going to set up.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was a difficult one to call, but it just looked so naturally. It's such a shame that Robinson can't get fit for any prolonged period of time because he was fantastic in the first half, and then you know off he goes again because he's absolutely perfect for that role, as is Bidwell, and they're both out, which is a real shame.
His throw was amazing. I haven't seen a throw that accurate since I left Belfast.
Brilliant. You've been waiting all weekend to get that one in.
Seriously, that was high quality throws.
It was a bit better than Fitzhall's long throws, wasn't it? The long throws or Jets as well. You know, the long throws that weren't long throws. The only thing the only caveat to put on all of this is that they had 10 men for the whole game. They are a good team. Like, they only lost 2 of their first 14 games. They're in the Premier League last year, but they are on a bad run. They haven't. I think that's 6 now without a win, during which time they've conceded 15, 16 goals. So there's obviously something going on at Norwich because Houlihan and Jerome are widely considered to be not only their best players anyway, but they're certainly their best players this year. And he left them both out.
Yeah.
So when your form suddenly goes from 2 defeats in 14 to no wins in 6, conceding goals for fun, random players being left out, that suggests that there's something going on. And they only had 10 men for 90 minutes, and we still only beat them 2-1. We were hanging on a little bit at the end. If Hasselbank, in a parallel dimension where Hasselbank is still in charge, he would be getting pelters for that.
We'd have lost.
We wouldn't have won with Hasselbank.
Well, we wouldn't. Yeah, there is that. But if that had happened, if we'd only just beaten 10 men 2-1 with Hasselbank, plus it was a Holloway substitution, he admits himself, that caused a lot of the problems, taking Luongo off, like just killed the possession in the middle of midfield. Sandro's legs went, as they always do. You know, we sort of died on our arse in the last 15 minutes.
Why did he take him off, though? Is it because of the whole international break thing? I mean, do you think he was knackered, or was it...
No, I think he brought Shadipo on for good intentions to stretch 10 men further, keep stretching them wide. And Shadipo didn't have a bad game, but you took Luongo out the middle and we stopped passing the ball because it coincided with Sandro had played for half an hour and was knackered because that's all he can play.
Yeah.
To be fair, Hull did a better job in that position when he pushed up.
Exactly. And, you know, I think he'll have learned a little bit about that. You know, if you take Luongo out of that midfield, it does tend to stop passing.
So, Johnny, you were there on Saturday, I take it?
I was there.
Yeah.
I was.
And you enjoyed it?
I think for the last 15 minutes, I think it was a bit squeaky bum time. But I think for most of the game, yes, to Clive's point, they had 10 men, and at times, we made 10 men look a little bit like hard work. But I think there were so many positives, and for the week that he's been there, the change, the subtle changes in play. So you could see for the goal that when the midfield got the ball and the defenders got the ball, the forwards started running to create space. I think there was so much backwards and forwards across the defence under Hasselbank that we didn't sort of sit on the ball particularly too much at the back. Yeah, we tried to pass, but we moved it wide. I thought Perch and Cherry down the right-hand side in the second half were fantastic together. And as you already said, the guys down, both wings were stretching the play. They were getting it wide. There was a lot of cross-field passes, round pegs in round holes. Cousins, for me, who I've only seen the home games this season, wasn't really sure what sort of player he was, to be honest. But seeing him in a more natural position, he looked good. Yeah, he looked good.
Cousins the most damning indictment of Hasselbank. I thought he was not only our best signing in the summer, but just about pound for pound the best signing that anybody in this division made. To get a player like that for only just over £1 million, I thought was just an incredible signing. And then to waste him as we have done, that was one of Hasselbank's biggest mistakes. So it was nice to see him in his correct position.
But even with our squeaky arse 15 minutes, the one thing that I think we had more than I've seen all season is we had belief, and they looked like they were enjoying themselves, and the players were a lot more. I mean, Lynch just took total control of that back four.
How good was Lynch?
Yeah,
he was great.
Just a presence alone. I mean, when your man tried to kill him, you know, how the hell he managed to get up from that tackle? I mean, your man should have been sent off. That was a disgusting challenge.
The general opinion around us was that if he hadn't already sent a Norwich player off, he would have sent that lad.
But the rules that he should have got, it was a shocking challenge. I mean, regardless of anything, that was just outrageous. But how he picked himself up, and the other thing that we did really, really, really well is we were actually doing short passes, movement, off the ball. We were killing Norwich for 15 minutes. They could not live with us.
Do you think the way we played, because there was I noted a lot of balls going from across the pitch. Cousins was swinging balls left and right, as well as Luongo, whatever. But that was, I think, partly due to the fact that they had 10 men and we were trying to create the space.
Holloway likes that sort of. That's one of his.
But also with dangerous at corners.
We always. The delivery were great from dead ball from corners. We looked dangerous at corners. I think a couple of times the delivery from. I know we're saying Lynch is not a natural left back and he's filling in there, but he got round the back and the quality of the balls probably could have been better once or twice. But we did look dangerous going forward, and we did create chances. And I think just moving the ball forward quicker made a difference.
Hasselbank's idea of sort of planning attack seemed to be, to me, having watched it over a year, get the ball into a vaguely dangerous area and hope that it becomes dangerous simply by being there, with no sort of idea of, well, how are we going to bring the ball down in that area, and once that guy's brought it down or flicks it on, who's going to be there to pick it up, and how are we going to get men in that area? And I watched Middlesbrough Chelsea on Sunday, and Middlesbrough play almost exactly the same way. Everybody behind the ball, apart from Ramirez and Negredo, and put the ball into the last third and just hope it sort of becomes dangerous. And it's no coincidence that Middlesbrough aren't scoring any goals either. So that was that's chalk and cheese. On Saturday, we not only got the ball in the right area, but it was Polter there, there was Washington there, there was forward. Cherry, there was overlapping wing runs. Like, none of that it was like, right, when we've got the ball, get it up there, and maybe it'll just become dangerous because it's in the vague vicinity of the goal. You've got to have more of a plan. That Hasselbank, for such an amazing striker as a player, I always found that really odd, because I doubt when he was a striker he would have wanted to play in our team, play in that way.
No, I mean, it's very noticeable. I mean, most of the teams that come down to Loftus Road this season, you just saw how quickly they broke compared to us, the intensity of the attacks. We were just static. And on Saturday, the first time, really, I mean, maybe the Leeds game, I suppose you could argue, it was a very poor Leeds team we were playing, but it seemed like that's how they were down to 10 men, because we attacked right from the first whistle.
But also we were throwing bodies in the line as well. It was back to that. I mean, the only thing was missing Saturday was Gina Padula taking corners. It was almost, and you can see, listen, you know what you're going to get with Holloway all day long. You know you're going to get the belief, the pride, and playing for the shout. Like, you're going to go to Ipswich and not be intimidated. Where I think Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, his theory of football is, we'll let them go one up and then we'll try and equalise. That was his attack plan sometimes. I think way too defensively, and it would have emptied the ground for next season. Seriously, people had enough.
Well, it
of
was
that.
emptying the ground.
Yeah.
You could see it week by week. People drifting away. It was boring. I mean, the big thing from Saturday, even with the last 15 minutes of terror, at least it was interesting. Like, I've been sitting at Loftus Road this season a couple of times, turned to Trace next to me and said, "It's only 20 minutes gone. I feel like I've been sitting here for hours." And Saturday's game zipped by for me, even the last 10 minutes.
That's true,
it was terrifying. It actually, at least it was entertaining and interesting. If we're not going to be one of the great clubs that wins trophies, which we're obviously not, at least make it interesting.
I have to say, I take my two boys. I've got a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I have to say, this season I've actually felt sorry for taking them and putting them through, what has been played on that pitch. But this weekend, I only had my oldest with me. But in the second half, there's some bits of skill that Cherry did in front of us. Trying to nutmeg people and right on the byline.
Did you see the no-look pass? Whoa!
That was. And Alfie, who sat next to me, I've never seen him so excited. He was, like literally bouncing out of his seat when he saw the skill, and that's the enthusiasm of that you need from the supporters that's been lacking. So, and that's what makes people want to go. And that's what makes people want to support the club. That's what makes people, pay their money to go through the turnstiles. And now I want to, on a Saturday when it's when it's game time, I want to go.
Yeah, well, I was having the same thing with my daughter. I actually to the point where I was saying, look, you don't have to come, and I spoke to the guys around me, and the last few weeks, you've turned up because you have to. Yeah. I mean, that's it. You've been seeing QPR for years. That's what you do on a Saturday or a Tuesday night, whatever it is. But it did feel like a chore, and
absolutely.
I don't know. One thing I thought about Holloway, I wondered whether all the whether the players, the younger players particularly, who wouldn't have any idea who he was unless they've been watching Sky Sports, would be actually would think, Christ, who is this guy? Are they going to buy into his philosophy? But they did look like a team that had the sort of irons taken off them.
I mean, you're funny you said there's a mate of mine, Alan, came down, was a wee lad, and they come down from Stoke most home games. And you can see the wee fella was starting, not lose interest, that's the wrong thing to say, but it's hard to, but apparently he was buzzing,
Well, when we go away, me and my group, there's like 6, 7, 8, 9 of us going away from home all the time. This year it's been hard to even raise one because, it's not that we don't want to go.
Funny that's me, Clive.
We do.
I'd have helped you.
But do you know what I mean? It's like, do you want to go? Do you want to go to Preston or wherever? Well, not to watch this, but Saturday, go and watch some more of that.
Huddersfield away, this is no word of a lie. I found a pub that did gluten-free beer, and I was contemplating staying in the pub and shagging off the game, which I've never in my 35 years of watching this club would have dreamed of doing.
Huddersfield away was the first time I sort of really had doubts about Hasselbank, because he actually came out after that. I think we'd played poorly the week before. Get so many poor performances, they all get lost in the ether. But he said that the first half at Huddersfield was much more like it, and I thought we were absolutely. I thought we were absolutely diabolical. I was sat there in that first half at Huddersfield going, this is a question of how many Huddersfield win by. And he came out afterwards. That was another thing he did a lot of. I mean, I don't want to sort of be wise after the event, because we've essentially sacked a manager for doing what we asked. We are in the middle of the Championship. We are giving youth teamers a chance. We have cut the wage bill. We have sold players. There was a big talent drain, all of that. And he's had a lot of his key players injured, particularly a lot that he signed over the summer. So I'm not being wise after the event. I wouldn't necessarily have sacked him. But that thing he did after the match where he would just trot out a stock phrase, and you think, were you at that match first and foremost? And if you were, is that what you're aiming for? Because if it is, that's a problem.
But I think, you talk about managers like losing the dressing room. I think he clearly still had the players, but I think he'd lost the fans. And I think actually when you lose the fans, that's probably
QPR.
I think that's more damning than the dressing room.
I think he lost the players as well.
I'm not so sure. That second half against Forest, it did look. I wasn't there. You guys were there, but by all accounts, it looked like the players were playing for him.
I think the players absolutely gave 110%. I've seen lost dressing rooms before. You maybe know better than me because you talk to different people to me, but those players looked like they were absolutely kitchen sink for him right to the end, include, like you say, that second half at Forest with 10 men battering away. So I don't think he lost the dressing. But if you lose the fans at QPR, like you say, it is important, because the chairman, for better or worse, listens to everybody on social media, and if people get on at him for 2 or 3 weeks,
I think that's why he signed to Finney. No, I don't think. Maybe they not lost. Well, actually, I think he had, but I think the dressing room was frustrated, playing in wrong positions.
You would imagine they were frustrated,
and you could see that on the Saturday, because Washington was. I'm not just saying that because everyone thinks I'm bad because he's played for one. I'm not.
No, I think you're right. He's a different player, absolutely.
And so was Polter. Polter was doing a lot of good stuff on Saturday that he wasn't doing before. He had a lot more belief in himself. He's all been told by Holloway, this is what I want you to do. His touch was better, his movement was better, and also he was a hell of a lot more dangerous.
But I felt that. I saw some of Holloway's press conference or interview, the first one. I didn't see all of it, but he did talk about coaching and move the first pass, if you can get it forward, move it forward, and you could just see that. And it wasn't rocket science, and I think he gets a lot of criticism for being tactically naive, or has done in the past. But I think what he showed on Saturday, just by some minor tweaks and things that everyone has probably been saying and seeing for the last 4 or 5 months, was obvious that he's been doing the right thing.
I reckon Bircham's probably had an influence in that as well.
Yeah, I think the question is, to your point, it was the first. We've had new manager bounce, I think, for the first time in probably the last 10 managers, which was great. And to your point, can he? What happens in the next game, the game after that?
Well, the thing I would say, Holloway, I think number one, I think he's developed a lot and changed a lot his style since he was our manager last time. But secondly, everybody thinks of him as sort of jokes. pride in the shirt. You know, that's what you think of when you do not get QPR promoted in the circumstances that we did, and Blackpool into the Premier League. One of the most remarkable things, probably only Danny Wilson's Barnsley is a more remarkable promotion than that. And then Palace as well, admittedly coming in on a good Dougie Friedman team, but still got them
He
promoted.
came in the November though, didn't he? So it's
not
not like he was
just
coming in
nudged
March.
it over the line.
No,
They beat
exactly.
a good Brighton team, and you don't do all of that telling funny jokes.
Yeah, well, there's
There's much more to him than that.
There was a good post on your very site actually, which I liked it so much I copied it out. It's from Roller. His name is. It says, "I thought that the way
I'll be
we
billing you for this later."
I thought the way we effortlessly changed between formations was outstanding, starting with 3 at the back before pushing Hall up into midfield in the first half, then playing at 4-3-3 at times in the second half. Not bad for a tactically inept manager in a week. Great to play with a handbrake off." And I thought that summed it up quite nicely.
Yeah, he's not tactically inept.
No, I don't think. I think with, as I said last week, Holloway would inspire you to run through a wall to get milk for him. You know, he's that sort of person, and he will carry that on. Now, the interesting bit will be next season, because I actually think we'll now go on to win the next 4 or 5 games. And I said it at Manchester.
You did say it, yeah.
Because he will. That squad needed it just needed a spark. There's always that wee spark that squad needed to kick it. I'm not getting carried away.
I don't want to listen. I don't want to get carried away either. But I looked at the games that we had, and I thought we'd beat Norwich because of what's going on at Norwich. And you look at what's going on at Ipswich. Unless they sack McCarthy this week, Wolves not a good team. Rotherham not a good team.
So,
unbeaten till Christmas. You heard it here first.
Oh my days.
Bloody hell, mate. So do you think the trip to Ipswich he's going to stick with the same formation? I.e., is he going to stay with 2 up front, or is he going to go more conservative?
Well, I don't think he'll stick with the same formation because I don't think Robinson will be fit if it is a hamstring, and I don't think Bidwell will be back, so he will have to change that.
I think he's been Finney.
Well, is he going to stick with an attacking formation?
He didn't before when he was here.
I know, but
and he said himself, "I don't mind counter-attacking away from home. It's at home that you need to be on the front foot."
Yeah.
So maybe not. But look at. I mean, I watched a bit of Ipswich Forest on Saturday. They're in a bad way. Like concede after 17 seconds. They can't defend. You know, chuck a bit of caution to the wind again.
I'll tell you what he won't do. He won't drop someone who's just scored, and that's a positive.
Yeah.
Well, that was the sports science thing again, wasn't it? This idea that you had to have trained with the first team. You have to train with the first team all week or you're not getting picked. So Connor Washington, who was our man of the match at Fulham, gets dropped 2 weeks after, because he's been away on international duty with Northern Ireland. Like a flight to Belfast in 20 minutes as a sub knackers you out for the following game. Like, he did do some odd things.
I mean, you know, all that's been said now, you know, about Hasselbank, about Holloway, I take it we're all agreed that it was right that he should have gone when he did, are we? Clive, I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, everyone go first, because I'll say no and be contrary about it.
I think that if we stuck with it, it would be hard to persuade people that he actually had a plan and where that plan was going, because it was empty in the ground, people were fighting with each other, and it would have made Tony Fernandes very unpopular, and Tony Fernandes does not like to be unpopular. He likes to be popular, and Tony's thirst...
Also likes a scapegoat other than himself.
Yeah, and his thirst to be loved, it made absolute sense to bring in Holloway, who will make the fans love Tony, who will get everyone on board, who will get everyone unified. It's a no-brainer in that direction. Whether it's the right thing to do or not, May will tell us, but you haven't got a crystal ball. But I do believe the players, we would have been sucked into a relegation battle.
Johnny?
We gone down, but
I haven't given it much thought, but I think if you look at the timing in the year, and I'm not suggesting that we've got money to spend in January, but it gives a new manager a good month to see what squad he's got. Does he like it? Does he want to make changes? Personally, I think we've got a decent squad that we're not fulfilling their potential under Hasselbank. So I'm not sure that we're going to see too many additions come January, but I think it gives them the opportunity. So timing wise, I think just the fact that the fans were very despondent and the performances were very substandard, it was the right time. And I want stability. I don't want constant change of managers. But it was just getting to the point where something had to give. If the performances started to improve, then he should have stayed, because to your point, it looked like he had a plan. But because it was just flatlining, it was the right time for me, I think.
Well, I mean, I wasn't sure. Like when he went, I mean, I thought if he was going to go, it'd be after the Brentford game. The timing was a bit.
Well, he
strange.
basically did get sacked after the Brentford game.
Okay,
but they thought there's an international break coming up. We've never ever won at Nottingham Forest. That's a bit of an unfair
but what I
game.
mean is,
I think he was gone after Brentford.
Yeah, but if we'd have won at Nottingham Forest, he couldn't have gone then, could he?
I think they
this
would have done
QPR?
anyway,
Really?
unless we'd won
QPR?
from what I've heard and whatever. Unless we'd won 4-0, sort of 64 gun salute at Nottingham Forest, then he would have been gone anyway.
But the point I made is, I know we finished very strongly against Forest, and by all accounts, there was only one team in at the end. But because it's Hasselbank, would he then have just gone resorted back to what he'd done before?
Exactly. We came out of Forest then. That last half an hour is exactly what we should do. 2 wingers, loads of crosses, loads of attempts on goal. We looked great. But you just knew that you would come back for that Norwich game and it would be back to 1 up front and punting it long.
Exactly.
And
so was it the right decision, Clive?
Well, yeah, clearly it is.
Yeah.
Clearly it is. Because
I think time will tell. I don't think it's after one game, but I agree the change in just mentality.
Well, if you
of everyone
think the team just needs that little bit extra, that we have the ingredients to be a decent team. By decent, I'm not talking playoffs because I don't think we are, but top 10, then it's the perfect appointment at the perfect time. But what I would say, and it comes to a point that you've made a couple of times about what do we actually expect of this team and what does the club expect of this team, because I think they lay down a sort of expectation and a remit, which is completely different to what the chairman and the owners actually, they want to be back in the Premier League as soon as possible, regardless of cost, regardless of how we do it. They just want to get back up there. So they say all of it, because if you look at the things that they've said, Ferdinand, Hasselbank did everything. He did everything they wanted. Players that were sold during Hasselbank's time, Austin, Phillips, Fur, Green yesterday, by the way. Absolutely hilarious. Might do that as my R's end. Just laugh. But, big earners and big players all left under Hasselbank's watch. Wage bill down. Didn't made a profit transfer-wise. Definitely did. Phillips 5 million, Fur 5 million, Austin 4.5.
Yeah, but you could. But then we spent,
promote youth teamers. They said promote youth teamers. He did.
We spent 3 mil on Washington. We reinvested a lot of that money.
I don't think we reinvested anywhere near as much as we got in. We got 15 million for 3 players. We haven't spent 15 million.
No. But what I'm saying is, if we were in the Premier League, we would have still spent highly. I mean, in Championship terms, we still spent a lot of money. It wasn't chicken feed. It wasn't free transfers and kids.
No, but we made a profit during Hasselbank's time.
Yeah, he's done that. But I think
we asked for youth teamers in the first team. They're there. All right, we asked for Championship consolidation. We're nowhere near relegation battle.
No.
You say we may have slipped in. I think we may have slipped in as well. But at the time he was sacked, we're not. He did everything that he was asked, but it was boring.
But
so is that now an extra sort of caveat on top of it?
Wasn't consolidation for the first season though? I mean, weren't we more edging towards playoffs for this season?
Well, I get the impression that next season, which is the last season of the parachute payments, is the big one.
When I asked Les, said he wanted to finish 6th.
Well, this is the thing. Publicly, they only ever basically. Lee Hughes has bought this thing from Burnley where if you ever ask them publicly on the record, what do you expect or want, they just say, we want to be competitive. And that's all Burnley ever say as well.
But just,
But I do think that...
It was boring. He should,
Yeah.
But what could he have done differently? Sorry, Chris. What could Hasselbank have done differently to save his job?
A plan of attack. Something other than, 0-0's always a good result. You saw on Saturday that was a very rudimentary plan of attack, but it was more of a plan than we had before. Like I say, the games when Connor Washington played up front by himself, which was often, due to this sports science thing that Hasselbank invests everything in, was often a midweek game. Because someone had played on Saturday and therefore couldn't possibly play on Tuesday. So, Polter played Saturday, he has to come out for Tuesday. So it was often a Tuesday. It was often away from home. Brighton last year, Leeds last year, I think. We start with Washington up front by himself, knocking it long, isolated straight. More of a plan than that. He could have done that better.
Yeah, it didn't look like he had a plan B, let alone a plan A.
I think the problem was as well, it's hard if you're a player to keep playing in different positions and have faith in yourself. Your head's going to drop. And especially when Washington came back from the Euros when he must have been buzzing a wee bit to get out there and play against the best in Europe. Then to come back and find yourself on the bench playing alone with no support. And that was the thing that got me, is that a lot of teams we were playing, one up front, we could have quite easily played the wingers and killed them. Loftus Road is a small pitch, as Gallen always said, and Lee Cook said as well last week. we can get behind teams quite easily. And it's
Even when he played with 3 strikers, because clearly towards the end of his tenure at the club, there were games where I couldn't understand, I couldn't see how we were ever going to get all those 3 guys playing together. And at times they were all on the pitch together. But even when they were, we looked so disjointed, and they were all either out of position or doing different things. And Washington was out on the left, and you had Polter and Silla up front, and it just didn't feel right. It just the whole.
Let me stick up for him again as a final point, because
which is fair enough.
But all of those points, all very valid. But at the end of the day, if you're not satisfying the fans on the pitch,
you've got no chance.
Exactly.
Particularly at QPR, like I say, if the fans have gone,
and if the fans have gone and they're not supporting the players in effect, and the players' heads are going to drop, the players are going to be terrified of making a mistake, and the whole thing.
It was only going to go one way.
But what I think,
in my opinion, it was only going to go one way.
No, I completely agree. But what I worry about is in 3 months, if it's not going overly well for Holloway, people will be calling him Hollowhead. People will be saying it was a sycophantic appointment.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
They'll be kicking off again, and we have to do our bit. Like that's what I.
But I think people would rather see us go down fighting than like a limp handshake. Do you know what I mean?
I don't agree. I say if we're losing every week, people won't care whether we're trying hard, whether we're doing this, whether we're doing that. I think QPR fans are really harsh.
So if not Holloway, and if it wasn't the best appointment, as some people seem to be saying, who else really was there?
No, it's the perfect appointment.
I feel that.
Yeah,
I do.
But see, the thing is, I got in trouble last week because I went on Twitter and people were saying this about the fans were doing this, the fans were anti-layers, this and that. And I was like, I don't think it's that bad because I judge it.
It is.
Yeah. Then I saw your article, and then someone sent me something on Facebook which was disgusting and vile. And you kind of think, Jesus, I never thought of it. Maybe it's blindness. I don't want our fans to be that big because we've always given people a chance. We've always thought that we'll give people a chance. We're not impatient. We're not spoiled. We're not stamping our feet with it.
For the benefit of people that may not have seen that.
Okay, sorry.
There is a Facebook group, a QPR group, where someone had put a picture of Les Ferdinand and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank up and said, if you only had one bullet, who would get it?
That's foul.
And there was nearly 50 replies to it, and I think only one of them said something along the lines of, this is a bit dark. Everything else was, could we line them up and it would go through one into the other? Could we do this? Could we do that?
People actually go to games,
or
is it just trolls or what?
No, there were 50.
Are these kids or
no? The guy that started it didn't look like a kid, mate.
Okay,
I'm not that I'm saying
I'm
not having that sort of thing dismissed as like pub banter or
No,
and that's absolutely disgusting. That's the sort of thing we associate with the people down the road.
Absolutely agree.
It is that bad, and like I say, for Holloway to work this time, we all have to come together and stop doing shit. Stop being such nasty pricks to each other.
But then, I mean, if you look at in the ground itself, I think the fans gave Hasselbank a fairly good ride, all things considered, because only that very last home game there was a few mutterings from the Q block or whatever it was, the R block. A quick chorus of "you're getting sacked in the morning." Then they were shouted down by everything else. So.
And then they started fighting with each other.
Okay.
Here's another one. Have we given Ben Gladwin a fair run as a support?
No.
I think Ben Gladwin gets booed onto the pitch. How many starts has Ben Gladwin actually made for us in 18 months? The answer is 6. So after 6 starts, we're saying that someone that used to play in non-league and was bought from Swindon, we've written him off. He's crap.
So interestingly, he was the one player when he was played out of position more centrally. I preferred him playing more centrally than out on the wing.
Does that mean that Les Ferdinand these days would be bombed out of QPR after 3 games, possibly?
Exactly.
Which is ridiculous.
Exactly.
But going back to your point, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I didn't see those Facebook things and see them in the end, and I think that's quite sad, and it's a sad thing to say. By all means, we've got Les Ferdinand, Ian Holloway, Mark Bircham, Lee Hughes, the cleaner. Everyone's got... It's fair to ask sensible questions and have debate about things, but insults and bullets, behave yourselves. That's something, as you say, belongs down the swamp.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us. And also,
I think
if someone said that on Facebook about Holloway, he will be at the front door the next day. I will guarantee it.
And so he should. It's not
it's
right.
Foul. It should. Sorry, but the other thing as well, going back to that, is that why is Twitter and Facebook at times so bloody aggressive at these things? It's like you're not allowed to have a different opinion these days. But come on, the fighting at Brentford, that was vile. I mean, we shouldn't turn on each other. And it happened on the Jerry Francis, if you remember, as well. We lost to Preston, I think. We got 5, and then we got done by Wimbledon.
And who came in as manager after that and pulled it all back together?
Yeah.
Ian Holloway. So we all have to do our bit now, because it's a massive part of what Holloway will do. He'll want everybody, it's our cave. There's enough enemies and challenges and good teams out there, without causing our own problems. But booing players on, booing our team during the match.
I don't get that.
But the thing is, this sort of social media world, Twitter, it's created an impatient generation. If things aren't getting done within 6 games, and they're going to start turning on people.
So when I was a kid going to QPR away games like the rest of us sometimes, I just hoped it would be less than 4.
Yes.
Well, that's what I mean. It's people haven't seen that. They've seen us in the Premier League. They want us to be back there straight away, whatever happens in it. And if we're not doing well on the pitch,
that
then
could
rather
take years.
I think, to be fair to the supporters, they're under this chairman, they are used to 4 consecutive bad performances and bad results means the manager gets the sack. So when that does happen, everybody's like, "Oh, he's going to get the sack. He's going to do." So people are used to it, and that's the club and the owner's fault. But some of the stuff that goes on is not right and needs to change for Holloway to work, because it's a big part of it.
So what is success for Holloway this season and the expectation for next season? And does somebody come out and try and set those expectations now, or do we all argue about actually what success means?
And is Tony Fernandez's answer to that different to Hughes and Ferdinand's answer to that, and different to the supporters' answer to that? Because I think it is.
Everything at QPR, whether you like it or not, it depends who's in Tony Fernandez's ear at the time, is how we will develop a manager and where we will go. So it depends who Tony lends his ear to at that time. I personally think we've got to give Ian at least a year and a half, because if anyone can sort this mess out, it's going to be him.
Where do we need to be in a year and a half for you to say he needs another year? Just...
In a year and a half, it'd be nice to see the youth team sort it out. It'd be nice to see results improving throughout the club, better atmospheres, people turn up to away games expecting a game, not expecting to lose, and bringing a feel-good factor back, and then you go forward from there. Now,
what if we finish next season 15th, 17th, end of the parachute payments?
But the thing is, Clive, going back to what you were saying, it's all very well us sitting here now in nearly December saying this. But the club will say something in September. Come October, they'll completely change their mind, and the manager's going, "What the frick
I don't
do you
think
want
they
me to
do change their mind. I think the club sort of start off. Hughes and Ferdinand are basically running it, and then it gets to November. Season ticket renewals are coming up. Premier League television money's there, and Tony says, "That's all well. That's all well,
isn't it? The parachute runs out this year. So
no, next year.
Next year. So we've got another year. Personally, I don't think we're anywhere near ready for the Premiership, as in even the playoffs. And I don't want to go through another season and getting battered in half and half scarves. That's too much for me. So let's just this time next year pushing for that 6th spot and actually just having a QPR that we can be proud of again, that we know is going to leave its soul on the pitch.
I agree with that with the Premier League, but in terms of the parachute payments, the payments are so big now. Is it worth doing a yo-yo and going up there for a year and then coming back down?
That's the thing. If we went up, this theory goes: if you go up, don't buy anybody, lose every game, and come back with 120 million in the bank, which is basically what Burnley did. They've built a new training ground. But you just know, if we did happen to squeak up this year or next, by some
make
hook
another
or
move
crook,
for Chris Samba.
We just spent 120 million quid on a load of players and come back in the same state.
We don't have the best luck either, let's be fair. How many people lose a training ground because Heathrow want to build a new runway? It could only happen to QPR. We haven't got our own training ground. There's a lot of up and down about the actual new ground, if that's going to happen, not going to happen. So there's all these things going on in the background. But maybe for a season, the club should focus on the training ground and getting things right on the pitch, and then Aldo take care of itself in a couple of years' time.
I think they do. I think they have been doing, and I think Tony turns up in November and basically says, "That's all well and good, lads, but Premier League's where it's at for Tune and AirAsia and whatever. So sack this bloke. We'll be having another guy."
By the way, whoever wrote the article, I don't know if you've seen this, Chris, and the other two, Clive, Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny.
I'm
Thanks,
nearly
Dave.
50, guys. Wait till you get to my age. Thank you, Ronald. Did you see that article? Like the Save Warren Farm group have put out. They make us sound like Darth Vader. It's shocking. It's
the only thing you need to know about the Warren Farm group is in one of his. You're talking about the Save Warren Farm Twitter account.
It's far. I mean, not far.
The only thing you need to know about this is in one of his weak moments, late on a Friday night, possibly under the influence, and we've all been there. Certainly, I've been there recently. On the, my phone should come with a breathalyzer, to be honest. But sent a load of like, "Come on, Brentford, like
I
come
thought
on."
the fucker was a Brentford
really?
fan.
He's a
Person's Brentford fan.
He's a Brentford fan.
Yeah.
That's all you
makes
need.
sense.
That's all you
He
need.
made
He's a
his-
Brentford fan with a lot of time on his hands.
Because on that one,
He's probably going to win. They've got another judicial review now.
No,
I think QPR will just be like, "Is this worth the hassle?" So I don't think we'll get it now.
all he needs is a picture of Satan in blue and white hoops to go with that, and he's well aware. He made us sound so vile.
It's a
and
Brentford
so
fan
wrong.
with some legal training and a lot of time on his hands.
But
And money.
And he's a gobshite.
There you go.
Now,
Personal opinion. Not that of the podcast.
we've spoken about Holloway.
And I haven't got any money, you can't sue me.
We've spoken about Holloway already. But the post-match press conference, anyone catch that? His interview with Radio London, I think it was.
2 questions in 11 minutes.
Yeah. We had some made-up words, re-elated, lefter, Mr. Sir Leslie Ferdinand. Went off on a Wayne Rooney tangent, talked about a badge burning a hole in the players' hearts.
That Wayne Rooney thing was amazing.
Yeah.
They go like, "So why did you win the game today?" He did 2 minutes on that.
Yeah.
Then suddenly went, "Why are we giving it to Wayne Rooney?" for about 30 seconds. Then another 2 minutes on our game. And that was it. It was like just completely
I mean, I urge anyone who hasn't heard it to... He described the old badge as too spangly. And he had to compose himself pre-match because he didn't want to look like a blubbering weasel. I mean, that's why. That's why it's a good appointment. It's put a smile back on everyone's face. And like you say, I know if we're 16th, 17th this time next season, it could be a whole different story for everybody. But short term, at least, he's lifted the club off its knees and he's put a smile back on the face of everyone.
But not being funny, like to have a 45-minute press conference before a game and not actually talk about your opposition is bloody amazing by anyone's standards.
It's all a stick, mate. That's what it is. You see, and it's exactly what we need because we had Mark Hughes' meticulous approach to the business of winning Premier League football matches, quote. We had Harry Redknapp's, away games in the Premier League are bonus games. We'll live and die by Loft. Great strategy, that, mate. We had Chris Ramsey, who I think he's good in the job he's in now, but wasn't good as first team manager, sort of quiet, reserved. That was quite dull as well. And then we've had Hasselbank's. It is what it is. It is nice to have, someone with a bit of life about it, but it is all a shtick. The classic quote from Holloway that everyone quotes back to him is the bird in the taxi thing.
Yeah.
He hates that. One, because it's, a bit chauvinistic, but two, because it was actually done to cover up Clark Carlisle's redescent.
Yeah,
into
Kevin
alcoholism.
Gallen touched on that last week, didn't he?
But
It's all a shtick, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but the thing is, at least we've got someone who actually cares about the players, who will go out of their way to distract and do
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
And that's what you need sometimes.
Great
And,
strategy.
I mean, you think about it, I think I said last week, when we were in Division 2, as it was then, we had so much press compared to every other club in that league. It was amazing. Even if we finished mid-table, it doesn't matter. He knew what he was doing. He got people focused back in QPR. And we became trendy for a while. People forget that. There's people coming over to get the buzz at Loftus Road. The feel-good factor was amazing at Rangers. We didn't care if we won or lose. It was about our cave, as he would say, and everyone felt part of it. It was a shame it tailed off at the end. But if he can bring that back for a couple of seasons, by God, it'll be worth the season.
He's not an
ticket.
idiot, as I said.
No, absolutely.
He's far from
no.
All of this, he's not an idiot.
No, and people need to judge him by results and what goes on the pitch and where we are in the table, and as well as you say. And I think all of that coming together with pulling everyone in the same direction, which he'll do from top to bottom of
To
through
be
the
fair,
club,
though,
is a recipe for improvement and success.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone thinks he's an idiot. He's clearly not an idiot, and anyone who comes in radius of him knows that he's not.
Well, the accent
foolish.
is part of it, let's face it. I think that probably doesn't
There's
help.
nothing wrong
But
with regional accents. though.
No, I didn't say that. I'm
Hey?
not saying it personally. But
London-centric media, that's what this is.
It was a wee bit that, wasn't it?
he's a bit like Les Dawson when he used to play the piano out of tune. You've got to be a very good pianist to play a whole song out of
Was
tune.
it
You
him
know
or
what I
Eric
mean?
Morecambe said, I'm not playing it right, I'm just not playing it in the right order. Anyway.
That's pretty much. But what I did like also, in the sort of 1 minute 30 seconds where he did actually mention the match, he did admit that they'd made mistakes, that there was mistakes made in the second half. He mentioned nervousness of players, mentioned the confidence, and basically said there's a lesson there. You've got to press the whole time. Whereas Hasselbank would not have admitted to any shortcomings.
Another big thing about Hasselbank was he talked so much about that high press that he wanted, to the point that he released 2 players who we all hold very dear to our hearts because they weren't good enough, he said, to do the high press. I never saw that high press from Hasselbank's team. I saw it on Saturday. I saw Washington and Polter giving it big leads.
Yes.
That was high press. Why did Hasselbank not do that? He said he wanted it. He had the players to do it. You know, he released Hill and Foley. Why did it not happen?
Just a point on. We mentioned Sandro very briefly early on, and I think towards the end of Hasselbank, there's a lot of people calling for Sandro to come back into the team. And when he played in the cup, I didn't see the games, but by all accounts, got a lot of praise. And I'm not a big fan of Sandro, but actually quite impressed me when he came on. He was a cool head on the ball. He played the simple pass. He broke up the play. He made one or two very clever balls, forward as well. And again, are we going to see more of him? Do we think under Holloway? Clearly made the bench, and certainly I thought, justified, another look. And I know the club is trying to offload him, but does he? And we want to move forward, and maybe he's not the right player to move us forward. But do we want to see more of him as well?
Key thing is we can't afford him. So if we can get rid of him in January, we absolutely have to get rid of him. You can't be a championship club of our size. His salary.
But if you've got him, surely you play him then. If you're playing that.
Well, that would be great. If he was fit to play every game and fit to play 90 minutes of that game, that would be amazing.
Won't be.
But he won't be, because he came to England in 2010, and people think he got this bad knee injury at Tottenham like 3 years into that, and hasn't been fit since. He wasn't fit before that. He's never once made more than 25 appearances in a season in this country. He's never once played 50% of the first team games he should have been available for in this country. I mean, without getting into the stuff about the fact that he's clearly not 26 or 28 or whatever sort of nonsense that is. He's clearly not that. He's not fit to play. So the problem you have with him is if you start him, you already know that you've got to make a sub after an hour. So, what if we've gone down to 10 men? What if somebody's got injured? We know after an hour there's a player that's got to come off.
So, and is he the guy that sits on the bench and shores things up?
No, I think he's the guy that we don't pick at all and we bomb out. And I think
the trouble with Sandro is just his appearance fee alone, when he comes on the pitch, is 2 players' salary.
It's colossal.
And that's your problem.
I hear
allegedly.
The Sunderland game.
He had no money, you can sue me.
The Sunderland game scored a great goal, played brilliantly for an hour, fell in a hole after that. A big part of the reason that Paddy McNair, who's never scored a goal before, scored 2 that night and we lost is because after an hour, Sandro was dead, and McNair ran past him.
But Holloway won't care about things like his appearance fee. He'll just get him on the pitch to try and get someone.
And it is an obvious thing for a new manager to do. We've got this amazing Brazilian international sitting there. Let's give him a go. In 6 weeks' time, Holloway will realise why.
No, I do think it's good that he's wiped the slate clean, and everybody's getting a chance. And to be fair, I think Sandro, I don't think he's a player that will just sit idly by and not make an effort at all. I mean, there was one, he sort of made one long busting run to win a ball he had no right to win, in, admittedly within 5 minutes of him coming on, which he probably couldn't have done within 20 minutes of him coming on. But I do think, we went to that. I think people were talking about the substitution with Luongo, and I think, but I know it was Shodipo that came on for him, but that was when we seemed to lose our shape.
Yeah, it was.
Rather than Sandro.
Fundamental point, we can't afford it. But if we can find anybody to take him in January, we should.
Going back to the Shodipo point, I think the thing is that Ian just, don't forget he doesn't know these players. This is his first week in, and perhaps he just wanted to take the pressure off some of the lads. I thought, we'll do this to stretch him. And he'll learn from that. And to be fair, if he came on and scored a goal, we'd say it was a substitution. It was genius. I mean,
Luongo is much more important than I think anybody gives credit to.
He's a much better player than people realise.
I think so.
One thing I was going to say, we're going to the arse end in a minute, but does Ollie sort of, and the Chief said in his programme notes, he said, he wants to win, whether that's 1-0 or 10-9, he wants to win at all costs. Do you think, though, when we're 2-0 up against 10 men, we should have taken the foot off the gas a little bit and maybe brought someone in to shore things up rather than keep going for it?
No.
Okay.
Well, I've been bored all season.
Yeah, let's just go for it.
Let's just go for it. Although I could have done without Silla's pass. Silla's ball.
That was a terrible ball.
I was like, come and run towards me in the corner. That's fine. I'm going to hammer a ball back into midfield.
After they scored, then should we have?
No.
Maybe no. You think it's gung ho all the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
why
boring.
the hell not?
I've been bored for so long.
It's sensible. It was when Shodipo got the ball, instead of with 5 minutes to go, take it. Run down the clock, take it to the corner. Don't try and put a cross in and give the ball away when there's only one player in the box.
Did anyone think we're going to blow it?
Yeah.
Throw it out. Yeah, of course.
It's QPR, Chris. How ridiculous!
Well, I said
it could have been 2-2.
Just before
I was hanging on for the draw.
Yeah.
I was like, you know,
Yeah,
And
I
they
mean,
were- and
the
they
bloke
were
in front
always-
of me when we were cruising. Like, I mean, just everything was so perfect. But 2-0 up, we were cruising till victory, and I just said, "Listen, this is QPR. You know, I know it's ridiculous. We're down to 10 men. We're all over them, but
They were always going to get a foothold in the game at some point, whether it be for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, where they were going to dominate some of the possession, because that just it happens. You can't have 90 minutes of of the ball.
I just think the club have a duty, and I'm going to be deadly serious here. When they feel that they've done a mistake in a substitution, they should play the Benny Hill minute music for 15 minutes, and then it just helps.
Okay.
You know. And also, Emily made a great point on the podcast of the week. You know, the blind tune theme has got to be played when Silla's around. I think that'd be brilliant. You know, if he
Blind
scores,
date, yeah,
it
yeah.
comes on the pitch. You know,
Yeah.
anyway, that's just my stupidness for the day. I'm over now.
Well, I think we should have now. Man United always have bring out the Cantona song for Christmas. I think we should have Here It Is, Cherry Christmas, right through December.
Have you been looking at that all day?
No, I haven't. I just
You
suddenly
have.
thought of it.
No, you've been
It's not
look-
written down on my
It's
notes.
on his notes.
It's not. It's
How
not.
did we
It's
get a
not.
song for Washington? We need a decent song for Washington.
I did hear his name being sung. I mean, it was.
They tried two different songs out for Washington and reverted back to the old one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and they're definitely that's a work in progress. But Here It Is, Cherry Christmas for December. I reckon that could catch on.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, we're at the R's end. So I'll start because I'm just going to get this out of the way. As some of you may know, we went up to Old Trafford, we being the podcast, on Thursday for the Football Blogging Awards. Paul is laughing
We've got a great
hysterically.
record there, to be fair.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
you guys carried on handsomely.
Before he starts, can I just say, it is an experience to share a room with this man, is all I'm saying. I've never...
Well,
it was-
likewise,
it
yeah.
was- no, hang on, it was like frigging sleep with Trumpton. As always as
come
you.
on.
Anyway, carry on.
How did we decide who roomed with who?
It was me, Mendes, and him.
That's absolute rubbish.
At the
'Cause-
top bunk.
Right, well, we're not, we'll have this outside anyway. But no, I mean, as you said in the morning, you weren't sure who was making any noises, and in fact, it could well have been you hearing your own noises in your
I
sleep.
spoke to Mendes, and he confirmed that most of the bottom noises were coming from you.
Oh, get out of it!
Amazing. Are you saying that Finney's like the dog that wakes himself up with his own farts?
Yeah. Oh, Christ
When I
almighty.
wake up, I say, I'm good.
Well, basically, when Finney was up, it wasn't a case of I'll just pat him around the room gently. It was right. I'm up.
That was a really good impression.
Yeah. And that was it. And I do refute the other allegations, by the way. It was basically me and Chris Mendes in one bed and Finney in the bunk bed above us. It was quite hilarious. Thank God we didn't
Clarification
have
on
a...
that?
Yeah. Clarification?
On you and Mendes? It's
Oh,
like podcast romance?
No.
Well,
But yeah,
more like
suffice
a
to say,
flat romance.
suffice to say, we didn't win, and we couldn't see any of the ceremony because we were as far at the back as we
Did you
could
get the
have been.
impression like we kind of you got to picture this scene here? Three of us got up there on the train, went to the Weatherspoons as you do, got in, and we were so far back. I swear it said "Welcome to Main Road," which is now obviously not being used. But we could have been any further, could we?
No.
But what about?
It's the third time Paul's
What
made
did
Did you
that
get
joke,
the
by way.
impression
Yeah,
you hadn't
but
won
one of the
from your
highlights for
table
me,
setting?
one of the highlights for me with the evening was the compo used the C word when the guy got up and sang "You'll never walk alone at Old Trafford," which was hilarious.
Yeah, there was some X Factor outcast.
Richie.
Oh, I
something?
don't know. What's
Sorry,
it been.
Emma, carry on with your bar's end.
No, that was it really. But I mean, on the plus side, at least we weren't beaten by Chelsea. They didn't win it. Apparently, they were very disgruntled that they didn't.
They had a hissy fit,
They'd won
didn't
it for the last 2 years. And
They had a
we
major
couldn't
hissy fit,
understand why they hadn't
apparently.
won it.
Anyone that was near them, they had a major hissy fit. They
Well
didn't win.
done for getting nominated
Yeah,
in the first
exactly.
place,
We did all
lads.
right, didn't we?
Jesus.
And we didn't get
It's
beaten by
four
Bob
of you
Mortimer
on a
either.
Monday night. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Allowed said that. To be fair, and I will say this, there was some bizarre speeches. There was a guy from Sheffield FC, which he ranted on for 20 minutes. I have no idea what he was talking about, but well done, you, and get your reward.
Sheffield FC, he was, but nobody
did
was
mention it a
interested.
few
They were either
times.
too drunk or too far back, like we were, to take
Yeah,
any
but
notice.
the compare calling someone the C word is probably the highlight of any
Well,
award ceremony.
quite, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, well that's mine. Who wants to go next? Paul, have you got 3 or 4 as usual? Or?
No, let
Okay.
Clive and Johnny go first. Because I'm nice like that.
Go on. Well, I was gonna talk about Rob Green, but I mentioned it earlier. That was absolutely hilarious.
That was funny, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, he's got so much in his repertoire. That guy. It's like, is it a kicking error? Is it a catching error?
He
What a guy.
apologised on Twitter as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he said he didn't want to carry the ball into the back of the net. Well, no, but other options are available. You know, punch, parry, that sort of thing. Amazing. So if you haven't seen it, see it immediately.
But the trouble is, as soon as you saw that ball coming in, you knew he was going to freak up. I did.
Oh, no, yeah, we were sitting in the living room going, here we go. He'd already kicked his first 3 goal kicks into the main stand. Like, it was obviously one of his days. He doesn't like the television camera. So I was going to do that, but I thought it was a bit mean. I know I was going to mention Sean Walsh, friend of the show.
Oh, yes.
Not to get all Steve sort of right on you, but insisted on going to Saturday's game to see Holloway's sort of comeback and had a lovely old time. Problem was his Saturday night gig, because he's doing a tour at the moment, was in Hull. So had to get from Loftus Road at 5 o'clock to Hull for 8 o'clock and broke his ankle on the way. Did the show in a wheelchair and spent the night in A&E in Hull.
How did he break it? Because I saw his Twitter post. He said his foot had swelled up, but I missed the bit where he actually broke it.
No, he doesn't really know how he did it, but
Right.
running for the train, presumably.
Christ.
How the hell did you get from Shepherd's Bridge to Hull in 3 hours?
Can't be done.
So
I'm
sure-
absolutely amazed he did it. On wheels.
Yeah.
So did he call the show to Hull and back?
Definitely should have done, but he's cancelled his Swindon gig, so bad luck, Swindon.
I don't blame him. It's a lot of roundabouts.
My actual hours end, sorry, I've done a Finney and done like 2 and then 3.
So, Finney, you can only have 4 now.
You've done a Finney, that's brilliant.
Do we like Ray Wilkins?
Ooh.
And I asked this because he obviously came out at half-time at Brentford. I love Ray Wilkins. I think he was a really terrific player for us. He played for us more than any of his other teams.
Yep, that's true.
All that stuff about him only passing it sideways is bollocks, as far as I'm concerned. He had a bad time as manager, but he had to sell Les Ferdinand. There was a lot going on behind the scenes. Haitley was his fault, I think. Zelik was a good signing. He was the only Australian that never settled in West London.
Anyway, there was a few.
Yeah.
And he's been all sort of Chelsea since. But I still sort of think of him quite fondly. But I noticed when the club said Wilkins is coming back for half-time at Brentford, there was loads of sort of not at Chelsea to it and all of that. Do we like Ray Wilkins?
I like Ray Wilkins, yeah.
How you judge a man is when Macca died, he went over to Belfast with Les and other people and turned up. So
Gallen has nothing but good words to say about him.
Yeah.
And he was managed by him during the bad spell. He played with him as well.
He's the ultimate decent human being who's going through a bit of a hard time, and let's hope he gets through it.
Yeah,
okay.
no problem at all for me. Johnny?
I'm done. Night.
Very quick, nothing too groundbreaking. Firstly, thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure.
And secondly, just hope that Ollie and Birch make a success of their new appointments. I have to say, I think when the names were touted around, and I've already said that we've already said it's a good appointment for where we are at this moment in time. I think when it first came out, I'm not sure it's always good for people to go back a second time. But I think we need him and his personality and what he brings, right now, and I just hope it sort of, works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul?
You all right?
Yes?
Right.
Nothing else about me, is it? Or
No,
Chris
you're fine.
Mendes or anybody else? No.
Nigel Pearson went back a second time at Leicester, got them into the Premier League, and they won it. So
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Without him. That's so Pearson. Anyway, my hour's end is basically what Clive said earlier on. Please, 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 let me get without not with somebody else. Get behind Ian, get behind Mark. It may not be the journey many think or want sometimes, but it's a journey we've got to stick with because, by God, we've had so much negativity. Please stick with these two, help them through it. Don't be difficult, not that you ever are, and show the world what great supporters we really are. And we are great fans. I will defend our fans all day long because our fans are bloody brilliant. And as a kid that came over here as a very young lad and was taken to away games by complete
From
strangers somewhere else, and taken to away games.
I've got a bingo card to fill in here.
Yeah,
Come on.
you're right. and I couldn't spell either.
The swearing one went inside 30 seconds.
But the thing is, but this is true. I mean, we talked about the things earlier on about Facebook and Twitter, but as a kid, when I first came over here and was shy, believe it or not, and couldn't really talk to people because no one ever understood a word I said, people would take me up and down the country, drop me off, do loads of things, like take you to games, give you programs, look after you, help you with find friends in the area. I've made all my friends through QPR. We are a fantastic fan base, and I will not have a word said against our fans. We just need to wise up sometimes.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, right.
And by the way,
Oh, here we go.
one last thing. One last
Going to play
thing.
the Hovis advert music at that point. Is it?
You're the bloody northerner. Just saying.
Now you've gone London-centric.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. And one last thing about the awards ceremony, which was nice. Chris Charles goes for an evening meal with a chicken pasty in his pocket.
Is that in case the food? Is that in case the food was
He
bad?
went to a petrol station and got a chicken pasty.
Right, okay. Let it be, hang on, I've got to... We all went...
Sit down meal.
But no, fair point. Like some of those sit-down meals can be bad.
No, that's absolutely. We went to the petrol station because we were all hungry before the meal because the meal was going to be at 8:30. You got yourself some gluten-free something or other. Me and Chris got a couple of pasties each. I bought 2 pasties, didn't eat one, so it was still in my pocket. So yeah,
having been to some bad sit-down sort of set menu
Was
things,
there a reason for it,
I make you
Chris?
right. Take a pasty.
I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite with you. It just happened to still be in the pocket, and I didn't eat the second one.
And the other funny thing about the awards, which I have to say, is that we had 50 people following us around at one stage. We didn't know where we were going. Like, who's going to follow a bunch of Championship fans around Old Trafford? Quite a lot of people, apparently.
If you two are going to have a fight about this afterwards, we could Facebook Live that.
You were a great roommate, Chris, and thank you for being so considerate.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah.
Thank you for everything you've done for the podcast.
Yeah.
And by God, we smelled the chicken pasty afterwards. Carry on.
Anyway, right, okay. We'll talk about this afterwards. So thanks for slandering my good name.
You're
all over
welcome,
the place.
Johnson.
Right, so that's the end of the podcast. Any predictions for next week, Paul, apart from are you going to get out of here alive?
Stay off the chicken pie, son.
Yeah.
And you snore like mad as well. Predictions.
Do you know, there's so much I could have said about you, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not like that. But anyway,
And
carry
we've
on.
run out of time.
Yeah.
You're regretting it.
I think we're welcome to Ollie Town, and we're going to have a great ride, and we're going to win the next 4 games.
Are we going to beat Ipswich? What's the score for Ipswich?
3-0 Rangers.
Clive?
Talk to me again at the end of the week because they might sack McCarthy in the meantime, but we're gonna beat Ipswich,
Okay.
I think.
Ooh, forever the pessimist, I think we'll draw.
Okay, I'm going to say
I'll take it.
I'm going to say we're going to win 1-0. Okay, that's it. Next week is unbelievably the 200th episode of
It's
Open or
never not
Last.
neither.
Pardon?
Hey. I said it's never not neither.
Oh my days.
Carry on, Chris.
Okay.
That means it's not really. All right.
Thanks, you've been
It's not really, is it?
You've been a real help tonight, Paul. So, yeah, you bring the pie poppers, I'll bring the gluten-free sausage rolls. You never know, we might even have a trick or two up our sleeves. So join us next week.
UPR, UPR, Chris Park Rangers.